Welcome to the Self Revolution podcast. This is your weekly reminder to wake up to who the fuck you really are. I'm your host, Breanna Rae Blaney, and it is truly my honor to guide you on this journey of self-revolution and evolution. Join me as one by one, we collectively wake up to create a more harmonious, enlightened, and fulfilled world. Welcome. I'm Breanna Rae Blaney, and I'm so excited to be here with you today to talk about this topic that has been so alive for me recently, and that is this concept of pain and really being with pain. You know, pain is a natural part of the human experience. If you are a human, you are going to experience pain. There is no way to avoid it. And if you try and avoid it, it's probably going to cause more pain. And this has been something that has been so alive for me recently as I have been experiencing a lot of pain personally. And it's been this invitation to really consider and be with what pain actually is and the choice that we have as human beings to actually be with our pain, and how can we cope with it, and how can we actually use pain as a portal for transformation and for evolution. So as I was thinking about this topic, I looked up the definition of pain, and the dictionary said that the definition of pain is a localized or generalized unpleasant bodily sensation or complex of sensations that causes mild to severe physical discomfort or emotional distress, and typically results from bodily disorder. And yeah, you know, this definition of pain resonates with me. When I think of pain, I really have this sensation of like, ow, raw, kind of like feels like someone is stabbing me, whether it's in the heart or in another part of my body. Like that's really what comes to mind when I think about pain, kind of that gripping sensation that almost stops you in your tracks. And there's different types of pain, right? There's physically induced pain that you've probably felt, whether it's scraping your knee on something or bumping your head against a wall or breaking a bone. There's physical pain, and that physical pain, you know, manifests in the body, and it can also result in other aspects of pain, of emotional pain, of trauma that comes from emotional trauma that comes from that physical sensation. Yet there are also other types of pain, right? Emotional pain or energetic pain or spiritual pain. And it's important that we actually begin to understand the root cause of our pain, right? Where is that pain actually coming from? So this pain is part of the human experience. It's something that we are going to have to navigate throughout life. You're going to have to navigate pain throughout your life. But the good news is that you have a choice. You have a choice of how you're going to actually respond to your pain. So I was talking to my Ayurvedic doctor, Dr. Nabodi, which I'm sure I will mention a number of times on this podcast. And we were talking about pain and really having this conversation that pain is not a choice, right? It is part of the human experience, yet suffering is. And that most of us are often suffering through our pain. We aren't actually allowing ourselves to be with the pain, to move through the pain. And so we are keeping ourselves in this state of suffering. When something painful happens in our lives, I think you really have three options. You know, number one, you can ignore it and ultimately suppress it. And this is probably a very common reaction or choice when it comes to more emotional pain or energetic or spiritual pain, that you are suppressing it. You're like, oh, that doesn't feel good. I don't want to touch that. So I'm going to push it away and I'm going to push it down. Maybe with physical pain, it's harder to push that away. And so you do have to, you know, go to the doctor or get surgery or whatever it may be. And ultimately, ignoring and suppressing pain as we've kind of mentioned, that's probably going to continue to manifest, right? It doesn't actually allow you to move through your pain. The second choice is that you can react to it. You can almost lash out against the pain and get frustrated and angry and rebel against your pain. And I can think of times in my life, where I've done this personally, where you just get so pissed off or vindictive that this thing has happened to you and it feels painful, and you just have this like fuck it attitude about it. And I want to get out of this situation. I want to run away from it. And this is kind of more in that animalistic instinct of fear. This hurts me, this is painful, and so I have to get away from it. Again, causes disconnection, causes frustration and anger, and you're not actually processing it. So that's still living inside of you. The third option is to actually welcome it. To welcome it and connect with it, and use it as a portal for transformation and evolution. And this option is in many ways much, much harder, as you actually have to feel the pain and connect with it. Yet, when you choose this option, when you actually allow yourself to be with your pain, you are allowing yourself to evolve, and you're also ensuring in some ways that you're not creating more pain for yourself in the future. You can kind of think about it as, a water glass, and you keep putting kind of you get this pain that comes in and it's not processed. And so eventually it just keeps building up and building up and building up and building up, and it overflows at some point. Versus if you feel that pain and you actually move through it, you welcome it, you connect with it, you're keeping that water flowing, and so it doesn't overflow and completely explode. So you may have seen, if you've been following me or a friend of mine, that my partner of 8 years and I recently chose to evolve part of our relationship, and that, as you can imagine, has been a very painful experience for me. And we did this about 2 months ago now, and are still very much in the middle of it, and I'm excited to share more about that when the time is right. But I wanted to share this one story that really illuminated kind of this idea of fully welcoming pain and what that really means. So after we made this choice, we had spent, kind of 6 days together, and celebration and also pain and just grieving. And then we were chose to, we're taking space from one another. And so I left, and I was headed to Austin that week. And that the minute that I walked out the door and kind of got in that Uber and was on the way to the airport, I just felt this massive amount of pain in my chest, and just kind of that stabbing physical sensation of pain. And I continued to feel that. The plane ride, I got back to my hotel room, and over the next couple of days, while I was still, trying to navigate what I was doing for work that week, the sensation of pain was ever present in the center of my chest. And I was actually having a conversation with Michael one evening while I was there, and I was sharing with him the pain that I was feeling. And he really asked me, what is that coming from? What is that pain? And it was a beautiful, invitation to really reflect on that. And I was in a place where I was not suppressing. I was fully aware and allowing myself to really feel the pain, to be with the pain. And I so appreciated his invitation to get more curious around the root cause of the pain. And what I came to realize in that moment was that pain was stemming from disconnection. I was grieving and feeling this massive sense of disconnection from first myself, and also from him, this sense of disconnection from him and how painful that was. And in that moment, I also realized that I had a choice to actually connect with it. That sense of disconnection that I was feeling from myself and from him was a choice. And that was something that I was making up in my mind in many ways, and that I could choose to reconnect with myself. I could choose to reconnect with him in that energetic sense of the word of reconnection. And the second I did that, the second I realized that and actually chose to open and choose reconnection, that sensation subsided. That deep pain I had been feeling for days at that point lessened. And it was such a beautiful just realization and confirmation that so much of our experience as human beings is driven by our own choice. And that these simple little minuscule moments can have such a massive impact on our experience. And that in that moment, I was able to choose reconnection, to allow that to move through me. And I felt a bajillion times better, not by forcing it to go away, but by actually allowing myself to feel it and move through it. So I came home and, it was the first time that I was walking into our home after we had made this decision, which is, you can imagine, was a bit jarring and emotional. And I sat down on the couch, and on our coffee table was Breanna Brown's book, Atlas of the Heart, which I highly recommend. I love this book. And I opened it to a random page. And of course, it opened to a page on disconnection. And Breanna Brown says, disconnection is often equated with social rejection, social exclusion, and or social isolation. And these feelings of disconnection actually share the same neural pathways with feelings of physical pain. Current neuroscience research shows that the pain and feelings of disconnection are often as real as physical pain. And just as healing physical pain requires describing it, talking about it, and sometimes getting professional help, we need to do the same thing with emotional pain. So in this moment, it was, in many ways ironic, but also so validating. And this fact that what I had intuitively felt is also backed up by the science, right? That I was feeling this sense of disconnection with myself, disconnection with Michael, and it was actually manifesting in physical pain in my body. And that the antidote was connection and processing and moving through. So over, the past few weeks, and after, that experience, I have continued to feel an immense amount of emotional pain. And at every instance, it really has been this invitation to welcome it and to explore the art of welcoming it. And how do you really not just be with your pain and be okay with it, but really embrace it, allow it to be with you, love it, and to really use it as an invitation for growth and for evolution. And I've just come to have even a greater appreciation for how pain is one of the greatest teachers. And I've been reflecting, on these other times in my life that I've experienced great transformation and also great pain. And often those things have been linked. And I've thought about in college, I had gotten very sick, and doctors didn't know what was wrong with me for quite a long time. And I would find myself after, going out, usually I'd been drinking, kind of partying, and sometime in the night, I would find myself in these massive kind of episodes of pain. And I would go into the shower and have this hot water just rushing over my body. And I'd be crying and just kind of riveting in this physical pain. And usually after hours, it would subside. And this went on, honestly, for a couple of years. And it was very, very challenging to understand what was happening and also be with the fact that I didn't know what was happening and that doctors couldn't tell me what was happening. And and that it was just something that I kind of had to live with until we did figure out what was happening. And I had a condition called UPJ, ureteric pelvic junction, where the tube that connected my kidney to my bladder was too small, and I was having these kind of massive kidney infections. And so anyways, more of that story for another time. But I, in that experience of pain, I realized that I was not my body. That there was a sense of self that I had that was beyond my body, that I could feel the physical pain that was happening in my body, but not become completely immersed and attached to it and consumed in it. That I knew that I was beyond my body, that there was a sense of myself that was in this higher, place, your soul, your spirit, whatever you, identify and want to call it. And that really helped me in many ways when I continued down the path of spiritual evolution and teachings of yoga, really being in the embodiment of that experience of knowing that my body is me and I'm connected to my body and I love my body, but it does not define me, and that there are multiple layers to myself, just as there are multiple layers to yourself. My grandfather dying was another kind of pivotal moment that had happened recently. And I was with him when he died and had a very transformative experience of being in pain and in grief and just with someone that you love dearly, but also being able to see this beauty and welcoming it, and this beauty of really being able to be with someone you love in this moment of pain. But again, kind of being able to see that peace and the duality there. So I share these stories to just share that, pain is a natural part of life. It's a natural part of the human experience, and it's inherent in the human experience, but pain is not the problem. Our relationship to our pain is the problem. And this kind of goes with everything in life, that it's not inherently, our minds that are problem or our thoughts that are problem. It's our relationship to them. And the good news is that we control and have the choice to redefine our relationship with these things in our life. And you have the opportunity to redefine your relationship with pain in your own life. You have the opportunity to actually embrace pain, to be able to see the beauty, the full spectrum of emotions, of experience that actually live and reside in pain. As I've been reflecting on this too, it's really sat with me that the root cause of pain, all pain really, is disconnection. Whether it is disconnection with our physical body or our emotions or with others, that really is the root cause of pain. And Breanna Brown kind of articulated that so eloquently around how emotional pain can cause physical pain, but just that this concept of disconnection is really the root cause. And when you break a bone, your physical body is becoming disconnected from one another, and that's causing physical pain. Or if you are going through relationship challenges or conflict and those things that are causing real emotional pain, often that is stemmed in feeling this sense of disconnection. Grieving someone's death, again, disconnection from another. And so again, the invitation is to actually choose reconnection, to choose connection. That's really where the healing begins to occur. Even with your physical body, how are you going to reconnect kind of your body to itself so that there can be, again, more harmony and flow and, beauty and joy and love and all of those things. So when we, I think often we avoid pain because we're scared of it, right? We're scared to feel it fully, and we don't want to allow ourselves to really fully be in it and to accept it and radically be in it because it can be painful. But I would argue that the suppression is far more painful, particularly in the long run. So when you experience pain in your life, the invitation is to actually listen to it, to allow pain to really be a teacher. Wherever you have pain in your life, whatever layer it's really coming from, it really is this invitation to listen, because something is going on. Something is up. If you are experiencing pain in your stomach, there's something that's not being digested, right? Or if you have a ache or pain in your body is trying to tell you that something is disconnected, that something is not in harmony. And it is this invitation for us to listen. But sometimes we are not open to receiving these signals. We're not open to receiving what pain is really trying to teach us. And this has, again, been part of my experience over the past few weeks, has been realizing that there were parts of our relationship that I was actually in pain around, that we were both in pain around, that we maybe weren't consciously aware of, or that we were actually suppressing. And by being able to kind of create some space and openness and flow, we're able to see those aspects of where we were maybe ignoring or oppressing pain more clearly. So this is really an invitation for you to ask yourself that question. Where are you experiencing pain in your life? Maybe presently. Everything from the little things of my stomach is hurting and aching when I'm eating certain foods to maybe bigger things. And also allowing yourself this space to really ask yourself, maybe where have I suppressed pain in the past, and where is that still impacting and affecting your own life. The beautiful thing about all of this is that you have a choice, right? And you have a choice to actually choose to open to and to welcome in your own pain, and to use it as this teacher and as this great guide and this source of evolution and growth and transformation. So how do you actually welcome pain? I've got 5 steps, and I think all 5 of these are it's a different way to think about approaching pain, and it's a different way to actually begin to welcome it in your life to create that transformation. So number 1 is to actually create awareness around your pain. As I was just talking about, there can be a lack of awareness that the pain is actually occurring, and that can be just because you don't really want to fully feel it. And so the first invitation is to really start to create an awareness of where am I feeling pain currently in my life, and also reflecting and allowing yourself to be open to really being honest, radically honest with yourself on where have you experienced pain previously that maybe hasn't been dealt with. Number 2 is to actually begin to open your heart to the pain, right? This is where the welcoming starts to come with. And, for me, how I've really started to do that is by physically bringing my awareness, to where that pain is, and bringing your awareness to wherever that pain is, actually allowing yourself to invite in a sense of openness and a sense of love and a sense of not demonizing that this is bad or that this is wrong or that this has to go away and it's negative and horrible and it's gonna keep me unhappy, all of those, that kind of spiral that you can get in, but actually choosing the opposite path, choosing that openness and that sense of love. The third piece is to actually connect with it. And this is different than just opening to it, because you can be aware of it, you can open to it, you can kind of say, okay, yeah, I see you, I'm going to love you, but to actually connect with it and to be with it is a whole nother layer. So I kind of go back to that experience when I was sitting in my hotel room and I was feeling this deep sense of pain rooted in my chest. I actually allowed myself to fully connect with it, to not only just open to it and to say, I love you, pain, but also really be and say, I'm here with you. What are you trying to teach me? You know, I want to learn from what is here, and really inviting that sense of connecting with it. This moves into number 4, which is to actually listen, to invite in that sense of curiosity of once you've connected with your pain, really asking, hey, what are you here to teach me? What am I here to learn from you? What in my life is not working that is causing this pain? And how can I, move through this in a way that is supportive for me? And actually listening to your pain. And what my pain was telling me in that moment is that you are feeling disconnection, and that you're feeding this narrative of disconnection, and that that's not actually something that you have to do, that you're feeling this deep sense of pain, of disconnection, but that actually that is your choice. That was what really came through when I was, asking my pain and really allowing that to be my teacher. And then number 5 is to actually move through and process your pain. And this can be different depending on what type of pain it is, going back to the root cause. If it's physical pain and there's a physical manifestation of pain in a broken bone, well, there's probably, surgery that's going to need to happen and a healing process around that. If it's more emotional pain, working with a therapist, being able to speak with others, moving through practices, whether it be somatic or meditation or breath work or, one-on-one mentorship, all of those things. And I certainly did that, coming back from that experience. And over, the past 2 months, I've been using many tools to actually move through and help process the pain that I have been experiencing in. So in summary, here is really an invitation to use pain as a portal, to view pain as this beautiful teacher, this gift that you get to experience in life. And that instead of ignoring it and suppressing it or reacting to it and, demonizing it, that there really is this invitation to actually welcome it, and to welcome it by becoming aware of it, by opening your heart to it, by connecting to it, by asking it to be your teacher, listening to what it has to say, and ultimately owning your responsibility to move through it and truly process it. The world is in a lot of pain right now. It's hard to often watch the news or even be on social media because of the amount of pain that is constantly circling around us in the world. And I know it can be easy to become desensitized to pain. And I think many of us have become desensitized to the pain. We are desensitized to the horrific images we see on the news and the war and the violence and all of this destruction. And it can be scary in many ways how desensitized we've really become to our own pain and to the collective pain of the human, experience. And so I really invite you to think about your role in this and the role that you play in feeding that narrative, and the opportunity that you have to actually be a catalyst for change in your own life, in your own community, that by welcoming your own pain, by handling that in a responsible manner, in a manner that actually creates conscious change and evolution, you're not only helping yourself and creating a more harmonious and beautiful life for yourself, you're also helping the collective do that. Because our collective pain as a species is really a reflection of our individual pain. It starts really on this individual level. And by you choosing a different path, you are collectively helping us all choose a different path. So thank you. And yeah, would love to hear your stories around this as well. Much love. Namaste.